1st February 2023, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the last full union budget before 2024 elections. India's most awaited financial event comes in the midst of global slowdown, inflation, liquidity tightening, geopolitical tensions, and re-emergence of COVID-19. Will India look to fire up its manufacturing? Will India build a moat against global uncertainties? What will the budget have for the middle class? Watch the complete coverage of Budget 2023. Real-time analysis, expert takes all day on Moneycontrol. Log on to www.moneycontrol.com for more.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching the closing bell. I'm Santosh Nair.
And I'm Yatin Mota.
The bears are back in control on Dalal Street, the FNO expiry, and also the negative report on the Adani Group by the Hindenburg research team. Those are some of the major factors weighing in on sentiment at this point in time. A quick look at the setup today. The Nifty and Sensex falling by over 1%. The Nifty closing below the psychological 17,900 mark. Midcap shares took a bigger beating compared to the frontline shares, and all sectoral indices closing in the red today. Particularly hit were banking and realty space. So banking, both private sector banks as well as public sector banks took a big beating today. The India volatility index, the volatility index is also known as the fear index, that surged sharply, a little over 8%, and is now at 14.84. A rise in volatility index means that the outlook on the market is negative. Among the prominent gainers today, we had HUL, Hindalco, Maruti, Bajaj Auto, and Hero MotoCorp. Overall, auto stocks fared well. They were under pressure today, but fell much lower than some of the other sectors. Among the prominent losers, we had Adani Ports, IndusInd Bank, SBI, Cipla, and HDFC, with all these stocks falling close to about 2% each.
Absolutely, and the market color was deep red as Santo's jacket. So even if we are celebrating the Independence Day, Santo has a red color to choose.
Well, you really can't fight sentiment, can you, Yatin?
So, जैसे कि सेंटो बता रहे थे कि 17,900 के नीचे निफ्टी का क्लोज, अगर हम मार्केट की बात करें तो ऑब्वियसली सेंटिमेंट जो न्यूज़ फ्लोज थे अदानी ग्रुप को रिलेटेड, आज एक्सपायरी भी थी वीकली और मंथली, तो कहीं ना कहीं ये सेंटिमेंट काफ़ी ज़बरदस्त तरीके से इम्पैक्ट करते हुए भारतीय बाज़ारों को दिखाई दिए. ऑब्वियसली बाज़ार में रोल ओवर्स भी काफ़ी वीक हुए डेरिवेटिव साइड पे, क्योंकि नेक्स्ट मंथ फरवरी के जो सीरीज़ है ऑब्वियसली वो वेट होगा बजट के इवेंट के लिए, तो शायद मार्केट थोड़ा बहुत लाइट हो गए इस इवेंट के पहले और एक्सपायरी वाले दिन. ऑब्वियसली PSU बैंक्स और फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज स्टॉक्स ज़ोर से आज गिरते हुए दिखाई पड़े, और अगर हम बाजार का एडवांस डिक्लाइन रेशियो देखें सेंटो तो 1:4, यानी every one advance had 4 declines.
And also, while the cement stocks are not captured by any sectoral index, we saw heavy selling there, also led by Gujarat Ambuja Cement. That stock was down by close to about 9%, the biggest loser among mid-cap shares. So overall sentiment has taken quite a bit of a beating, Yatin.
Yes. And apart from Adani Enterprises and the Adani Group flagship company, which obviously is slated for the FPO opening next week and the anchor book opening today, we had a very big damage, collateral damage coming in for other Adani Group stocks. Santo, आज Adani Transmission लगभग 9% नीचे था, अंबुजा सीमेंट 8% नीचे था और ACC भी लगभग 8% नीचे था. तो अगर आप निफ्टी 500 की लिस्ट देख लें तो जो टॉप 5-6 गेनर्स हैं उसमें से आधे अदानी ग्रुप के हैं. तो सेंटिमेंट काफ़ी वीक था. और ऑब्वियसली गेनर्स में अगर हम देखें तो सोना कॉमस्टार, अच्छी कमेंट्री, अच्छे ऑर्डर्स इनको इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स के लिए मिले, स्टॉक 5% ऊपर था. और जोमेटो की बात करें सेंटो तो आज 10% नीचे था ये भी स्टॉक. और इंडस टावर, क्योंकि वोडाफोन इनको पैसे नहीं दे रहा है, तो इंडस टावर भी एक स्टॉक था जो आज गहरे लाल निशान में बंद हुआ, लगभग 7% नीचे.
And if you look at the list of losers, clearly the stocks which have outperformed recently, they are the ones taking the biggest beating, because that is where most of the positions have been built in. But it works like it cuts both ways, Yatin, because if one way to look at it is that the market is pretty light going into the budget, which means that the slightest positive announcements and you could see share prices rallying.
Correct.
And with that, let's move on to the stocks on our watch list this afternoon, starting with TVS Motors. The company had reported its third quarter numbers yesterday. Overall, analyst commentary was mixed. CLSA and Citi were among the brokerages negative on the stock, but TVS Motors was the biggest gainer in trade today, up close to about 5.5%. Now, the key things in positive of in favor of TVS Motors is that it's got a strong dominant position in the electric vehicle space, and it got about 17% share in the current month. And the overall view among some of the brokerages which are positive is that TVS Motor is one of the companies that could be the key beneficiaries of the upswing in the two-wheeler segment. Now, two-wheeler segment has been underperforming for quite some time now, and there is a feeling that probably the underperformance is likely to end, and TVS Motors would be one of the big beneficiaries. But at the same time, CLSA has retained its sell rating. It has said that the outlook on the two-wheeler segment still continues to remain uncertain, and brokerage house Citi has said that because of rising competition, margins are likely to be under pressure, and more so as the proportion of electric vehicles in the overall product mix increases, the overall margins are likely to be lower. But the stock at this point, it's had a fairly indifferent run for the last almost 2 to 3 months, but today it's made a strong comeback.
Clearly, Santo, obviously नतीजे तो ठीक ही ठाक आए, ऑटो स्टॉक्स आज फोकस में थे, लेकिन टीवीएस मोटर्स की एक बात कहूँगा आपसे, मार्जिन इनके सिंगल डिजिट्स में है, अभी भी ये स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं मेंटेन करना मार्जिन्स मिड टीन्स में। और दूसरी बात कि रूरल मार्केट से काफ़ी अच्छा पोर्शन सेल का आता है, एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट से एक अच्छा पोर्शन सेल्स का आता है। तो अगर एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट्स और रूरल मार्केट्स में थोड़ी दिक्कतें आएँ तो शायद इनके सेल्स वॉल्यूम पे फ़र्क पड़ सकता है। और हम ये देख रहे हैं अक्रॉस द बोर्ड कि हर एफएमसीजी कंपनी या कंज्यूमर कंपनी कह रही है कि रूरल मार्केट्स थोड़े फीके नज़र आ रहे हैं, थोड़ा बहुत रिकवरी मोड अभी फुल्ली ऑन नहीं हुआ है। तो ग्रीन शूट्स दिख रहे हैं सिलेक्टिवली, लेकिन शायद ये एक और रिस्क हो सकता है टीवीएस मोटर्स के लिए। तो चलिए, मैं जैसे कि हर रोज़ आपसे बजट वाली चीज़ें डिस्कस करता हूँ, आज बैंकिंग सेक्टर डिस्कस करेंगे। तो फोकस में रहेगी एचडीएफसी बैंक, एसबीआई, आईडीबीआई बैंक, हर पीएसयू बैंक, हर प्राइवेट सेक्टर की बैंक, क्योंकि बजट में आप देखेंगे कि बाज़ार को ये उम्मीद है कि एमएसएमईज़ और छोटे उद्योगों के लिए शायद बजट में कुछ बोनांजा सरकार ले आए, कोई क्रेडिट गारंटी स्कीम ले आए, या एसएमई को बढ़ावा देने के लिए बहुत सारी चीज़ें करे। तो इससे ब्रॉड लेंडिंग को फ़ायदा होगा, बैंक्स को फ़ायदा होगा, ऐसा दिखाई पड़ रहा है। इसके अलावा ग्रीन एनर्जी प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए भी सरकार एक नई फंडिंग स्कीम लॉन्च कर सकती है। ब्रोकरेजेस ये एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि ग्रीन एनर्जी जैसे विंड, सोलार या ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन प्रोजेक्ट्स हो, या और ऐसे कई ग्रीन एनर्जी इनिशिएटिव्स हो, इनको बढ़ावा देने के लिए फाइनेंसिंग बहुत ही एग्रेसिव करनी बहुत ज़रूरी है अच्छी कॉस्ट पे। तो शायद सरकार यहाँ भी कुछ अनाउंस कर सकती है। स्ट्रेटेजिक डाइवेस्टमेंट, ऑब्वियसली सरकार ने पिछले बजट में कहा था कि 2 पीएसयू बैंक्स को डाइवेस्ट करेंगे और आईडीबीआई बैंक को डाइवेस्ट करेंगे। तो यहाँ थोड़ी बहुत क्लैरिटी और भी अवेटेड है। और आखिर में जो एटीसी का बेनिफिट आपको हाउसिंग लोन के लिए मिलता है, यहाँ भी शायद गवर्नमेंट लिमिट्स बढ़ाए, जो अभी 2 लाख रुपए पर एनम है उसको शायद 4-5 लाख रुपए कर दे। तो हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज, एनबीएफसीज फोकस में रहेंगी। इंश्योरेंस की बात करें तो सरकार यहाँ भी आपको टैक्स एग्जेम्पशंस दे सकती है, लिमिट्स बढ़ा सकती है। तो नज़रें रखें इस स्पेस पे, काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें इस बजट में एक्सपेक्टेड है बैंकिंग सेक्टर के लिए।
And again, my argument remains the same as it was for the defense sector yesterday. This is also happens to be one of the sector which has seen a good run up over the last few months now. Clearly, there has been a re-rating of most stocks. Particularly, the re-rating has been much sharper in the PSU banking space. So that while we have quite a few tailwinds for the sector, especially the credit growth so far has remained quite strong. Asset quality is continuously improving, and if you look at most of the leading banks which reported their number, the improvement in performance was broad based across all segments. So clearly at this point in time, it does look as if the economy is doing well and the banks are reaping the most benefits out of that. But as the global situation, global clouds darken a bit, clearly there's some bit of concern on the banking sector too, Yatin, and that's something that I would keep in mind.
करेक्ट, ऑब्वियसली रनअप तो हो गया है बैंकिंग, लेकिन उम्मीदें काफ़ी सारी कर सकते हैं इस सेगमेंट को लेकर। बजट में देखते हैं एफएम साहिबा के पास क्या क्या है अपने उस सीक्रेट बैग में जो बैंकिंग के लिए निकालेंगी।
Well, Container Corporation is the last stock on our watch list this afternoon. Stock was among the prominent losers today, down by close to about 6%. The company reported its third quarter numbers yesterday, and just about decent set of numbers, are pretty much in line with what the market was largely expecting. Now, brokerage house Motilal Oswal is bullish on the stock. It has a buy recommendation and a price target of 810 rupees. According to Motilal Oswal, the main reason for the disappointment in EBITDA margins was that the volumes in its export-import segment, that was low, and because of that the costs of running the business, the fixed costs which still come into play, that combined to keep margins under pressure. But going forward, the domestic volumes are expected to improve, and this another reason for that is also the phase-wise commissioning of dedicated freight corridors, which is likely to shift some bit of cargo transportation from the road to the rail segment, and that is expected to boost both volumes as well as margins for Container Corporation. And overall, Motilal Oswal is also sounding bullish on the domestic volumes of Container Corporation. Right now, the mix between its export-import business and domestic volume is 70:30. Motilal Oswal feels that this could improve to about 60:40, resulting in better margins. The brokerage expects margins to be in the range of 23 to 25% for the next 3 years, and says that at 14.5 times EV to EBITDA for FY24, the valuations are not very demanding. And lastly, there is also the trigger of divestment, which probably could give some added kicker to the stock.
But one thing which remains as an overhang here is the strategic divestment. सरकार ने फैसला तो लिया है कि कॉनकोर का स्ट्रेटेजिक डाइवेस्टमेंट करना है, लेकिन बहुत सारे डिलेज हो गए हैं. इनफैक्ट EOI भी अभी तक नहीं आया. लोगों को उम्मीद ये है कि यहाँ स्ट्रेटेजिक डाइवेस्टमेंट हो जाए तो शायद री रेटिंग होगी, क्योंकि एग्जीक्यूशन में कंपनी हिस्टोरिकली काफ़ी स्लो रही है. तो शायद एक ओवरहैंग स्ट्रेटेजिक डाइवेस्टमेंट का रह सकता है, क्योंकि यहाँ कोई इंक्रीमेंटल अनाउंसमेंट नहीं आया शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए सैंटो. तो शायद ये एक चीज़ है जो देखने लायक होगी कि इसका स्ट्रेटेजिक डाइवेस्टमेंट कैसे प्रोग्रेस होता है.
Well, and with that, it's a wrap on this episode of Closing Bell. Thank you for watching.
जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
And we'll be back with you again same time. We'll be back with you 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And in the meantime, for all news, views and analysis, stay logged on to moneycontrol.com.
1st February 2023, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the last full union budget before 2024 elections. India's most awaited financial event comes in the midst of global slowdown, inflation, liquidity tightening, geopolitical tensions, and re-emergence of COVID-19. Will India look to fire up its manufacturing? Will India build a moat against global uncertainties? What will the budget have for the middle class? Watch the complete coverage of Budget 2023. Real-time analysis, expert takes all day on Moneycontrol. Log on to www.moneycontrol.com for more.